welcome to Motown. I'm Shibani Gharat. Now, luxury car maker Jaguar Land Rover is preparing for a recovery roadmap to adapt to the new global auto landscape. The company plans cost savings of nearly 1.7 billion euros over the 2 years, while targeting a lower cash break-even threshold of around 3 lakh units annually. Big EV launches like Range Rover Electric and Jaguar Type 1 are expected to drive the next phase of growth. Now, moving on, let's speak about Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield is planning a 2,500 crore rupees manufacturing facility in Andhra Pradesh as the demand momentum stays strong. Parent Eicher Motors says the current production capacity is nearing full utilization. The expansion will be phased based on market demand, even as the company separately ramps up capacity at its Tamil Nadu plant. And then, big concern for all of us is, of course, the fuel inflation. Fuel inflation continues to bite the consumers. Petrol and diesel prices have been raised by another 90 paise per litre, the second hike in under a week, while CNG prices in Delhi NCR have also moved higher again. Rising fuel costs could weigh in on vehicle demand sentiment as well, especially in the entry level and the commuter segments. And then, when it comes to clean mobility, the government of Haryana has approved new aggregator rules mandating cleaner fuel vehicles for all new fleet additions in NCR region from January 2026. Cab aggregators, delivery firms and e-commerce operators will now have to add EVs, CNGs or other green fuel vehicles, marking another strong policy push towards cleaner mobility. And then the latest Vahan retail trends for May show passenger vehicle sales up 17% year-on-year, while two-wheeler growth stands at 5%. However, industry checks suggest the ongoing Adhik Maas period could temporarily impact rural buying sentiment, particularly across the key Hindi heartland states that contribute significantly to the overall two-wheeler demand. Now, let's get on with the main Motown show. Now, one of the most interesting global auto stories this week is coming from Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep and Peugeot, which is making a major comeback into China through a new partnership with Dongfeng Motor. Now, this is a significant move because just a few years ago, Stellantis, in fact, had effectively exited China after its earlier joint venture struggled amidst the slowing sales and intense competition from local automakers. But now, the company is returning with a completely different strategy. Stellantis, in fact, has signed a deal reportedly worth around $1.2 billion with Dongfeng, under which the companies will manufacture Jeep electric SUVs and Peugeot vehicles in China, again with production expected from the Wuhan facility. And this story is much bigger than just one company re-entering China. What we are witnessing is a major shift in global auto industry, where China is no longer seen as a sales market, but increasingly as a center of the global EV ecosystem. China today has some of the world's strongest EV supply chains, battery manufacturing capabilities, and cost advantages. It is also moving much faster on the software integration, connected vehicles and EV scale. That is forcing legacy global automakers to rethink their strategy. Now, instead of competing aggressively against the Chinese players, many global OEMs are now choosing collaboration and partnership to remain competitive in the EV race. And that's because profitability in EVs remain under pressure globally, while Chinese manufacturers continue to gain market share rapidly across regions. So this Stellantis comeback is really a reflection, in fact, of a much larger trend global automakers are increasingly depending on China. Now, on that note, let's slip into a very short break. More on the other side on the Motown show. On to the interview of the week. CEAT is sharpening its premiumization and global expansion strategy, targeting overseas sales, contributing of nearly 1/3 over the next 5 years. The company sees strong growth from premium vehicles, EV tires and off-highway segments, while CAMSO acquisition is expected to strengthen its global reach. Here is an excerpt of Shrishti's interaction with the company's MD and CEO.
Hi.
Hi, and we have the man himself. We have Mr. Arnab Banerjee of CEAT. And Arnab, before we start talking about business, the growth plans for CEAT, one interesting observation that you came sitting in front. And why is that so?
Oh, no. That's a habit that I've had because it gives me a sense that I'm in the driver's seat while my hands are free to do stuff, take calls and look at the laptop and other stuff.
Indeed, but I can see that your hands are really busy driving the growth at CEAT. And before we talk about the growth path ahead, the long roadmap, I just wanted to have a word from you that how do you see it now versus maybe 3-4 years back? Because Arnab, you have been in the system for long. And what has actually changed strategically and fundamentally for CEAT right now?
See, we are a company based on TQM principles, so it's a very collective and collaborative kind of management. So the basic strategy has not changed. The basic vision and how we serve our customers, how we organize internally hasn't changed. But 3 important things happened. We just sort of came out of COVID, and then we got the Deming Grand Award in 2023, and we acquired CAMSO last year. So these 3 events sort of brought the people together, much more aligned, fiercely aligned, I would say. The alignment to the goal was always there, but now those boundaries that are there in an organization, hierarchy, functional boundaries, those are dissolving much faster, and there's a higher degree of impatience to move forward and deliver stuff for our customers. So that's changed.
Indeed, but now along with that, these are some of the key steps. But throughout this journey, what I have observed is that you have been focusing a lot on the premiumization trend.
Yes.
Give us some sense that what made you rethink on this particular strategy, and where do you place CEAT versus your competitors right now?
Well, CEAT has been very strong in the commuter segment traditionally, whether it's two-wheeler or whether it's four-wheelers, or even in the trucking segment, it has been a very strong player in the value segment. So now the consumer landscape is changing. People are moving out on the highways. I mean, traveling from Bombay to Bangalore is very, very common these days. I'm not talking of weekend trips, but longer trips. And I know of people who are in my circle who have traveled from, let's say, Pune to London also. So that's rare, but people are doing that, okay? Bombay to Beijing, things are happening. But essentially, families are traveling more, longer distances in bigger cars. And when that happens, they don't want any kind of issues with tire. Tire is anyways a passive buying category. You don't go with your family to buy a tire, but you want absolutely trouble-free, error-free ride, which is comfortable, no noise, good mileage. That will always be a strong thing in India. So therefore, bigger tires, more comfortable tires, electric vehicle tires. And in premiumization, 2 things I would like to mention. Who is our customer? The customer is the guy who pays for the tires, not the driver, not the mechanic. There used to be some confusion in our mind also, but we have defined. What is premium? When the same customer is willing to pay a higher price than they were paying yesterday. Yeah, a higher price compared to a similar set of competitors. So that's what we mean by premium. So all these, the customer landscape is changing. We have defined premium, and therefore in the entire mix, we are building a value proposition which is different from that of customers. And gradually we would like the customers to be willing to pay more. And that's the journey of premiumization.
But indeed, but within the segments as well, where are you spotting the biggest opportunity that lies for CEAT? Is it passenger vehicle, two-wheelers, or maybe the truck and the bus radial tires are also giving you that space to grow?
Yeah. So see, CEAT is a uniform brand, right? It sits on the truck, bus radial, on OHT, on passenger as well as on two-wheeler. So you cannot be commuter in one segment and premium in another segment. So our effort is to move gradually the whole brand architecture towards making customers willing to pay more across segments. The journey is at a different level. For example, in two-wheeler, we see the opportunity with bigger bikes coming and needing motorcycle steel radials and fabric radials, which is a very small part of the market, but we want to dominate the cruisers, the adventure seekers, the community of two-wheelers, and the people who want bigger bikes, who will do a Delhi-Agra Yamuna Expressway stint over the weekend in a BMW. So that's emerging, but it's not mainstream. But that's where CEAT would like to have a big play. Four-wheelers, obviously, I mentioned about longer journeys. Even in trucks, today the younger generation are coming into fleet management, okay? And they want a hassle-free thing. They want to focus on their customers. They're not going to spend disproportionate amount of time in managing the workshop, in the tire, and what theft is happening on the fuel side. So they are tech savvy, right? So they want modern intervention. But what I mean by modern intervention, they want to be very clear somebody manages their infra, okay? So there again, we see a big opportunity to play in the premium segment, which satisfies this kind of evolving trend in the trucker. So we are at different parts in our journey in different categories, but we'll have to move in all.
Indeed, but Arnab, you have mentioned a lot about these long trips. Just curious to know that I know that all the things that you're talking is from the business point of view, but just curious to know that have you undertaken or experienced any of such long rides?
Not like a 7-8 days drive starting from Bombay, but I undertake many road trips. For example, I have done a 8-day trip in Ladakh. I have done a 6-day trip in Kashmir, and I have just done a about 4-day trip in Norway. So I don't start from Mumbai, and I can't take 15, 20 days, 30 days leave. But I'll do that once I get an opportunity. But I love road trip.
Next time when we meet, it's going to be maybe Beijing, maybe London.
Yeah, of course. So you can't see a country better in any other way. If you fly or take a train, those are convenient methods, but road trips are great.
Yes, absolutely, and I do agree with that. Well, Arnab, we are at the RPG house, and before I talk more, I just wanted to take a quick look around your office.
Sure.
All right, thank you, Arnab, for showing me your office. But along with that, now let's talk and come back to business. And I wanted to touch on your CAMSO acquisition. That indeed is one of the biggest strategic moves for CEAT. Help us understand that what sort of an edge CAMSO acquisition gives you right now, and within your global market presence, how does it help you to approach the global market differently?
Yeah, so we have been talking about OHT being a critical part of our business. So it's right up on the capital allocation table, number one. CAMSO is a big global brand, number two. And number three, it's a premium brand having much higher margins. So on three counts, it's very, very appropriate. If you look at the micro level, the products portfolio of CAMSO is very complementary to our product portfolio. So we have very little overlap, and so we get a completely new business, new set of customers who are premium, who are global. We get access to about 200 new distributors globally. And we also get access to 40 new OEMs. So we have a good OEM presence in OHT of 30-40 OEMs being our fold, but this 40 are new. So a total of 70-80 OEMs will be very, very powerful, right? And it also, over a period of time, in our overall quest for premiumization, it also gives us a lot of skills and capabilities to understand what is a premium brand, how is it sold, how customers interact with it. So I think it will impact the overall journey of CEAT also towards premiumization, globalization, obviously. And so it's a good fit, and we could afford it.
Indeed, but with respect to the big focus area of CEAT, quality management is also one of your key focus areas. Help us understand what CEAT is exactly doing into that, and why are you focusing so much on this aspect?
Well, if I broaden the scope of this question, I had mentioned that CEAT is a practitioner of total quality management. So TQM is not just about quality of the product. It is about, as the name suggests, it's total quality management. So it is about the quality of management itself. So how we manage stuff, how we manage the experience of customer, which is not just the product, it's product, service. Now there are several touch points, the website, your mobile, you're scrolling, what comes on Insta, what comes on YouTube, whatever, right? So there's so many different now artificial intelligence tools. So you won't go to Google to search, you will ask very layered questions about the brand. In particular applications, people are becoming smarter in prompt engineering. So so there are plethora of touch points for the brand with the customers, and if you provide a uniformly premium experience, call center, right? Then the whole image of the brand builds. That's the customer point. Internally, right from procurement to factories to the way we decide stuff in the company, right? So that if you embed quality in that, then who comes, who goes in terms of senior manager, doesn't matter. There'll be a consistency which will build memory structures in the minds of customer. Like, strategic timeout. We have been there for 11 years now, right?
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma, it's years we are with Rohit Sharma. So those things, these are just few examples, but in all management decisions, we do something which builds memory structures, positive and good memory structures in the consumer's mind. And that's part of the quality management.
No, indeed, because every time we watch cricket, CEAT is right there. But
Yeah.
along with that, to the point that you just touched upon is AI. I wanted
Yes.
to understand more that what CEAT is doing, because you are a manufacturing company. Is it only with respect to AI implementation in your manufacturing processes, or which other segments are you actually using and getting the benefit out of it?
So AI is an enabler. We don't see AI as replacing jobs. The new skill that we are learning is how, as human, including me, how as human beings we interact with AI. And that skill, how can we leverage it for our business, for our customers' delight? That's the crux. So it's happening at three levels. One is, you don't have to teach AI. Anybody, you don't have to know coding and nothing like that, right? So anybody who has the initiative, there are many free courses. There are many the knowledge is easily accessible to get started. So today's Gen Z millennials are very, very forward-looking as far as usage and learning of the tools is concerned. Our job is to just encourage them to do so and give them problems which they can solve with that new skill. So that's at one level. So large number, we are measuring how many people are getting savvy with using AI agents, for example, maybe in a very small things like prioritization of mails or prioritization of some tasks, but is everybody using it? The next level is problem-solving skills with AI. So this is that TQM collaborative culture where people meet together. The problem is known, but the solution is yet unknown. How are you using that to solve business problems? And the last part is transformational things. It's a big word, I know, but that is what senior management is leading. And For example, we completely want to destroy information asymmetry. Senior management has a lot of information. Guy down there who is actually getting the sales or producing the tire gets the information, searches for the information, gets it on request. They don't have so much information, but they are equally savvy. So we want to democratize information so that decisions get taken down there with people who are facing the customer. So that's business transformation. We want to accelerate on that. So at 3 levels it's happening.
Oh, indeed, and I can see that the plans are right there. But Arnab, so good having you on the Motown show today. Thank you so much for your time. Pleasure.
And on to Motown Spotlight. It's Renault Duster. Some cars launch, some cars create a movement. 14 years ago, Renault Duster, in fact, changed India's SUV market forever. And now it's back, tougher, more premium and more capable than ever. With bold styling, modern tech and a refined turbo petrol engine, that signature Duster ride quality, Renault may have just another blockbuster on its hands. Let's take a look. And you're still tuned into the Motown show right here on ET Now. And it's time to have some fun. It's time to ride. And some cars are launched and some cars can create history. 14 years ago, Duster didn't just enter India, it created an entire SUV movement. And now the icon is back. Here's presenting the all-new Renault Duster, and we're gonna be driving just that. And now let's talk about the exterior. And thankfully, Renault hasn't forgotten what made it really special. It still looks strong, muscular, and properly SUV. You get sharp LED lighting, massive cladding, chunky proportions, and a stance that still commands attention. And unlike many soft urban SUVs today, this one still feels ready for bad roads. 212 millimeters of ground clearance means that this thing can generally take on India. And practically, it has a massive boot space, over 500 liters, and along with that, it also has a partial shelf in place. Sit in the driver's seat, and the biggest surprise is actually inside. Because this no longer feels like the old bare-bone Duster. The cabin is modern, premium, and properly tech-loaded. Google Maps built directly into the system, ventilated seats, panoramic sunroof, wireless charging, and finally, a Renault interior that genuinely feels segment above. With respect to the driver's seat, yes, of course, it is comfortable, but when I really sat on the rear seat, I just thought that it could have been a little better. And add to that is the absence of select buttons, because while the touchscreen is actually good, but in terms of the adjustments, I thought that some buttons would have helped. The 1.3 turbo petrol pushes out 163 of horsepower and 280 of Nm. And this is paired with a 6-speed DCT. It feels quick, smooth, and surprisingly refined. But more importantly, it still rides like a Duster. Bad roads simply disappear underneath the suspension. There's confidence, stability, and a toughness that very few SUVs in this segment deliver anymore. And despite being comfortable, the body control is seriously impressive. It doesn't try to be overly sportive, but it actually feels that it is engineered the best way for Indian roads. So the Duster had one job: to live up to the biggest SUV names India has ever seen. And frankly, it delivers it really well. It's smart, it's comfortable, capable enough, and really premium to beat the best available on Indian roads. And just like the Duster, some journeys never really end. They simply evolve. Thank you for watching the Motown show. Until next time. And with that, it's a wrap on the show from my end. For more news and updates, follow ET Now.